hear me, yeah?
Yeah, I think I.
Able to talk about the day you had today or not?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we were just discussing all of our series options and the releases and all of that. So yeah, it was a fun 30-minute discussion. Yeah, so sorry about the confusion. These guys just earlier today morning.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world, whether you're watching us on the stream later or live. I hope more people start joining us live. We'd like more conversations. Prasen, as you know, is the man for all the answers, and it'd be good to get your questions on board. But don't forget also, you can check out the podcast. We've got really good support on the podcast. So hopefully this stream will encourage more of you to join us live as well. So it's a warm welcome to Prasen. Prasen, how are you? And we have got a slightly different start to the show, but firstly, good to have you again. Are you well? Good. Yes, absolutely. But I've got I want to change the format, and I want to put you on the spot from the start, because obviously I want to know how your week's been, how it is there. Just to give you a very quick update here on the weather, like it's an English thing to do, but we've had a bit of snow overnight, so we've got a bit more snow on the way, but I'm looking at a white view. But I've got a bit of not a bit of a problem, but a bit of an issue, and I'm going to put you in the spot live, and it'll go out on the podcast as well in terms of your advice. So I'm captaining a team on Monday. I'm pretty sure I'm going to win the toss. We're playing at home. We've never lost in this venue for over 30 years. The away team, their star batsman's not there. The main bowling attack has all been injured. All-rounder has been injured. I think their bowling attack has probably played less than 8-9 test matches, hardly got 10 wickets between them, whereas my boys have got over 1,000 wickets. Do I need to worry? Really? I mean, I did message you on the end of the fourth day, and I thought, hopefully we'll get some rain, because rain was predicted on my weather app for Brisbane, and I thought we'd get away with a draw. Never in my wildest dreams did I think we would win on the fourth day at Brisbane, chasing over 300. And you've mentioned, the team, and every single player contributed. And you said that it's one of the best. For me, it is the best away test match win ever. Yeah. And I don't know about you, but and I said it in the previous test matches, that the tension felt like I was watching a white ball cricket final. India were in the final of the World Cup or T20 or some major final. It felt that sort of a tension. Yet I was watching test cricket. It was incredible. You don't get that sort of tension or pressure often. You do get it watching Leicester quite a bit, I'll be honest with you, but not the Indian cricket team, unless you're watching them in a white ball final. I don't know how you got through that day. Are you like me, that's not superstitious, but if things are going well, I'm not going to change the way I'm sitting, or the way my surroundings are. It gets to that level, I'm afraid, when things are high pressure. How was it for you on that last day? Obviously for me it was early morning. How was it for you? Yeah. Yeah, absolutely, and it's something that we said in a previous show, that he's taken a lot of stick. Let's face it. Let's be honest. Whether it's about his keeping, his shot selection, maybe to an extent his attitude, And I said, people shouldn't remember his innings in that test, and make sure that you don't have short memories. He will play a bad shot in the future, more likely more bad shots than good shots, but we've got to give him that leeway. He deserves that leeway. I think he's that sort of player that can, and has proven that he can change the game, win a game for us with the way he plays. And I really hope the media and the supporters don't have short memories. There will come a time when you think, why did you play that shot? It's cost us the game. But no, let's keep him the way he is. Let's keep him playing like that, because that takes guts to play like that in a situation like that. I think that's the sort of image of these young players that are coming through. They're very confident, and we've said it before, and I love it. I think there is a fine line, but I think we're on the right side of that line with all these players coming through extremely confident. And you mentioned the whole team, really. I mean, Shubman Gill, and you can go through the whole lineup of the young players playing there. This is the toughest away place to go as a young person, or making your debut or starting off your test career. But the way they performed, it's been incredible. And you mentioned, I'm just sorry, I was looking at a comment that they were unable to hear you, so I'm just making sure that they can hear you on the live stream. But in terms of the bowlers, and even with our first line pace attack, to get 20 wickets on that wicket, Brisbane wicket, is some achievement. It's some outstanding bowling. Yeah, and you say you won't see dull draws. I don't think you'll see dull draws of India in that match, based on the way we play, and like you said, led by the captain. And we'll come to Virat in a bit. But I really want to focus on the greatest away win, maybe greatest test win. I mean, obviously the Kolkata Dravid and Lakshman innings you've got to put up there as well. But in terms of this test, and you mentioned that Tim Payne is under a bit of pressure. I think Ravi, I know he did a motivational speech, but I think they didn't help themselves with the comments they made that went public. They were picked up on the mic. Can't wait to get you to the Gabba. There was no more motivation needed. They were really confident, the Aussies, going here. And we mentioned some of the issues the Indian team had, but let's not forget, they've been in quarantine, which is not easy. They've been in that bubble, and to keep the motivation, keep the spirits high, you've got to, and you said it at the start, you've got to give a lot of credit to Ravi and the coaches and the backroom team. Yeah, absolutely. A friend of mine was saying at the start of the fifth day, the odds here, I know betting is not allowed in India, but the odds over here were 40-1 on India to win. I wish I took that bet on. That was the mountain that the Indian players had to climb, and they did climb. But it's hard to pick a player. I know Pant took all the credit, right, deservedly so as well. But in terms of the whole Test series, I think there was only 3 players that played all 4 Test matches. We had a lot of changes for injuries and various reasons, so it was a real squad victory. And I think you said it as well. The depth of Indian cricket was really highlighted in an amazing way in this series. It's hard to pick up, a man of the series, for me anyway. Yeah. And I'm glad you mentioned. I was going to bring up the brilliant interview you did with Vihari, and all the players were welcomed as if they did come back after winning the World Cup or World Championship of some sort, and quite rightly. How was he? Did he give you an insight into what it was like being part of that squad and team and playing in Australia? Absolutely. We're just trying to sort out your sound. It seems your sound isn't coming through, but we'll work on that, and obviously we'll carry on, and we'll put this out on pod. Let me see. Yeah, I can hear you. It seems the people joining us can't hear us, but let me just. Can you hear me?
Hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you perfectly. I think it's just the audio that's not going through. So I made a few changes, so we'll see if it comes through. Okay, let's carry on. I've just lost my train of thought, but it's good people are watching this live, and they're sharing any issues with us, but we've not had this issue before. But in terms of the players coming back, and you mentioned Vihari and the amazing reception they've had. How's and I saw some of the pictures. I think, was it Natarajan going back to his village? Those amazing scenes, or was it Saini? And you had quite a few boys from Karnataka. How's it all been through the media and watching it all?
Yeah, I think Natarajan was received with a hero's welcome. He was given a chariot. He had a bodyguard with him, when he went back to his village. So a whole lot of the villagers, I think the whole village was basically there welcoming him after that heroic performance in Australia. And Shardul Thakur, obviously, I mean, Ajinkya Rahane, they had a very nice cake for him. And I think it is also all over the news that he didn't cut the cake because it had a kangaroo on it, and he needed to respect the emotions and what's associated with it in terms of the series. So obviously everyone's getting a hero's welcome in India, and rightly so, because as you mentioned, this is probably India's best test series win, so to say.
Yeah, and you mentioned, he want to pay respect to the kangaroo, and he didn't want to cut it, and I thought it was an incredible gesture by the Indian team presenting the shirt, the signed shirt to the spinner. It just shows a lot of class.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's where cricket is right now. At the start of the series, we were all wondering if all the Australian players, or even Indian players for that matter of fact, have softened up because of the IPL contracts and having played together in the IPL. And I think in a way that's also restored humanity. I mean, given the fact that at the end of it is cricket, after the series players will move on. I think even after what Tim Payne told Ashwin during the Sydney test, he went and apologized to him. So it's all a matter of being on the field and breathing fire, so to say. But I think it's a wonderful gesture, and that just speaks volumes of who Ajinkya Rahane is as a captain. He didn't need to do that. There wasn't much that we could make out of how Nathan Lyon was feeling. He probably just clapped a bit and then went and took the shirt and then came back. But that's just fantastic for the spirit of the game. I think it was a great gesture, and Indian cricket is certainly moving in the right direction, even in this sense that players respect each other, they respect opponents, and we can win more than anything.
Yeah, and I think just looking back a few years, Test was really being questioned. A lot of teams were saying, it's just it doesn't get the crowds and doesn't get the money. But I think I have to give Virat a lot of credit. He takes Test cricket very, very seriously, and he's instilled that in the whole Indian team or anybody that comes into it. And I think Indian cricket deserves, Virat especially, deserves a lot of credit in putting Test cricket back on a par with the white ball cricket.
Absolutely. I think there are so many debates going on, whether Ajinkya Rahane should take over captaincy full time. I think that's absolutely not needed at all. I don't even know why that's coming into the picture, because Virat Kohli is the captain of the Indian team. Once he's back, he's certainly going to take over that role at number 4, and he's also going to captain the side. If Rohit Sharma goes out of the team and Prithvi Shaw is probably playing in his place, once Rohit Sharma comes back, he's not going to replace Navdeep Saini as a bowler, is he? He's he's going to do exactly what the role he's been asked to. Virat Kohli has taken this Indian team to great heights. What was labelled as a very, very spin-intensive side and a side which depended wholly on the spinners is now talking all about the pacers and all about the youth in the team. So Virat Kohli is a real role model and a real leader for the side, and he's really transitioned from the team from just another ordinary test side to pretty much world beaters in a sense. So I think Kohli is definitely the rightful captain of this Indian test team.
Yeah, and I saw that in the interview Coach Shastri and Rana did, where Coach Shastri says, this victory wasn't over 5 days or over a not short series, but a series in Australia. This win is on the back of the work that's been done the past 3-4 years, and that's been under the captaincy and coaching of Shastri and Virat. So, yeah, it's been building to this, and they're at that level where there were some doubts whether they'd get into the world champion. I know I've talked about this. I think it'll be incredible if we can get to the first final. I think we've improved our chances no end by this victory, because I remember speaking to you about it after the first test, which seems a distant memory now, by the way. But it's certainly improved our chances of getting into the first World Test Championship final. But as we look ahead, because it's now to the big one, certainly for us living in England, England are having it quite easy in Sri Lanka at the moment, relatively easy, but we would expect that. What do you think of the squad that's been picked? Is that mindful that the first 2 test matches in Chennai and the second 2 in Ahmedabad at the new stadium, and the conditions might be slightly different, or what was the reason for picking only the squad for the first 2 test matches? And what do you think of the squad, by the way? Some big names back.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think they just want to see how the conditions at Chennai play out, how some of the players who are coming back from an injury sort of make their comeback, so to say, because Ishant Sharma is back, KL Rahul is back, Hardik Pandya, very importantly, is back into the side. Whether he'll play I think he's going to play as a specialist batsman, and he won't be bowling much. So Akshar Patel has been called into the side. So Kuldeep Yadav has been retained. Quite a few very interesting choices there in the squad. Otherwise, it looks a pretty standard squad that really played in Australia. Prithvi Shaw's been benched. Natarajan has been rested for the first 2 tests. So I think a lot of important calls have been made. The first 2 tests will sort of determine how the squad moves for the next 2 test matches, but I think it's going to be pretty similar unless they want to rest a few players ahead of the limited overs tour. So fixtures. So I think it's very interesting to see how Hardik Pandya makes a comeback into the side, because he's also recently gone through a personal tragedy as well. So
yeah, absolutely.
To, sort of get that behind him and get back to what he does best. So a very, very interesting squad. I think very, very strong squad, so to say. And England certainly have their task cut out, because this is a very strong Indian side, and it looks like there aren't too many good players of spin in England. You can probably tell me better, but apart from Joe Root, it looks a little like Dom Sibley, and a couple of the others are a little circumspect about the way they go about spin. So it's going to be a very interesting series, and Chennai is known to be a tough sport. So I think India certainly have the advantage going into the first 2 tests.
It's funny you should mention spin, because I was watching a program here on one of the cricket forums, and they were highlighting the pace attack we've got, and the really good range of bowlers we've got available now on the bench and playing. But you highlighted what I thought used to be the case, that any team coming to India needs to be able to play spin. But with Akshar there, I don't know if Kuldeep will get a look in, but I think we'll be going with a pace attack, more reliant on the pace attack than the spin. Or do you think, because of what you said, that Chennai will be a dust bowl? Do you think it will be a dust bowl?
I mean, traditionally Chennai is known to produce a lot of spin, and that's one of the reasons why Ashwin and Sundar have been so successful, because they've grown in those conditions, and they've sort of, that they are India's 2 leading spinners. So I feel India will go in with 3 spinners and probably 2 pacers. If that's something they want to do, maybe they'll play Sundar and Ashwin. Maybe hopefully Kuldeep Yadav gets a look in. Obviously I think it'll be a little rough to drop Washington sooner after
Yes,
1
absolutely.
It just means probably Hardik Pandya might have to sit out, but that's again something that they will need to look at how they can balance that 11. And it'll be interesting to see how Rishabh Pant keeps to all these spinners, because we could see how it's spun in Brisbane and how it's spun in Sydney, and it's going to be a lot tougher in India. So it's going to be very interesting to see how they pick that 11. It's going to be very challenging for sure. But I mean, on that note, I probably just wanted to ask you. I mean, England for a long time have been a side. You've got very good spinners. Monty Panessa was one. Graham Swan was one. But now with Dom Bess and Jack Leach coming into this team, you feel the spin quality is good enough to challenge the Indian team?
I think they are very good spinners. There's been a lot of talk about the spinning department in England, that because of the nature of the wickets here, apart from when they go to South Asian countries, which they've not been for a while, the spinners don't usually get a look in. But I think you'll be surprised with these spinners. I think they are good. I think it'll be they're getting a bit of a warm up, as it were, in Sri Lanka as well. Bowling regularly.
Believe that they will come good.
I think our players are good enough to play them, but I think they shouldn't be ignored. I think is the word I'm looking for. I don't think that you should take them lightly. Any spinners that make it into the England team, they're going to be quality. I can assure you of that. So if it's going to be a dust bowl, I think it'll really test our batsmen's playing against spin as well. Obviously, you mentioned that England. We'll see how they play against spin, but it'll test our players as well. So I wouldn't take them lightly. Put it that way. But I'm not surprised. But with you saying we'll go with 2 paces and 3 spin. It'll be interesting. It's not what I was expecting, but obviously, the pitch is there and what it'll play, because I thought that'd go the other way, 3 and 2. But that'll be interesting. See how that goes. And obviously, they're playing for the Anthony De Mello Trophy. I don't know how popular that trophy is, but I'm a lot more confident that we'll be retaining this trophy. I know we won it 4-0 last time. I don't think it'll be 4-0 this time. What do you think?
I think England are fairly decent in the squad that they have. Obviously, with Stokes coming back, it's going to be very interesting to see how he does, because he's an imperative part of the side. Josh Butler, I think, is flying out after the first test, if I'm not wrong, or is he going back after the second test? First test, I'm guessing. Butler's going to be flying out. So it's going to be very interesting to see how they go about their 11. India are obviously coming in full of high confidence. And I think it'll be very, very important for India to knock Joe Root out early, because he's obviously the key part of the England's batting lineup. And if they manage to do that, then England are certainly going to be under a whole lot of pressure. So I think it's definitely going to be advantage India going into the series. And I'm not sure it's going to be 4-0. I think it's probably going to be 3-0. But I definitely don't see England winning any of the test matches, for sure.
Oh well, that's a big call, because they're quietly confident coming there. I think that they've managed this well, playing in Sri Lanka first and then coming to India. Like I said, treating it as a warm-up, because Sri Lanka are not the team that they used to be playing at home, although they've had a good first innings this time round. But I'm really looking forward to it, and seeing how England play, because they're looking at that. The couple of programs I did featuring this series, they're quietly confident. They've got the batsmen, the bowlers, to put pressure on India, so it'll be interesting to see. I just want to go back to something that you mentioned, and obviously there's a new monkey, although you probably won't like me saying that, a young person by the name of Gurmaran Singh Verdi. He's been picked right arm off break. We'll see if he gets a look in from playing in India. It will be a big choice if he does play, but it's good that they're taking him for the experience, if nothing else. But I just want to bring you back to the captaincy, and the fact that you raised the question. I'm surprised. We've talked about this a lot of a lot of times, many times, about Virat and Rahane, and there was all that question before in the IPL about Rohit and Virat. I'm really surprised because, why is this talk happening? Is this something about Indian media, or is it coming through the supporters forums, Twitter, social media? Where's this talk coming? Why are we even thinking about it, like you said?
I think it's coming from everywhere. I think obviously fans have a lot more access to social media than what it was probably a couple of years ago, maybe a decade ago. Fans are a lot more open to voicing out their opinions and thoughts on what they want. In a matter of speaking, I think the way the Indian team won, there was absolutely no discussion about Virat Kohli at all after that, the way India drew that City test. So I think in a sense, people are very happy with what India have achieved under Ajinkya Rahane. And for a matter of fact, I think that just stems from the fact that Virat Kohli has really transitioned the side from what it was to what it is. And a lot of people are probably going to go against this, but I feel Virat Kohli has 50% of credit to go with the way these players have sort of improved in their skill sets, and the other 50% obviously comes down to their own skill sets and the support staff. So I don't even see the reason why this debate has come up. Ajinkya Rahane, as a matter of fact, will probably be a lot more happier to be Virat Kohli's understudy and sort of learn from the way Virat Kohli has been leading. Probably the only issue that I see in Virat Kohli is his firebrand attitude, and he wants a result out of every single ball. But that's just the way someone is. We were speaking about Rishabh Pant earlier, and he shouldn't be curbed. His natural instincts are to hit the ball, and he should completely do that. You can't ask Pujara to score a 25 ball 50 in a test match. He won't do that. So if you curb someone's natural instincts, that just means that you're trying to take their natural game away from them, and that just doesn't help. So in that sense as well, Virat Kohli's been bred as a captain. He's led the side fabulously well. We've won so many important matches under him, and I think that's just the way it should remain.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I really don't get this, and you mentioned it's hard to just ask the question as to where this talk is coming from. And I think if you ask Jinx, he's probably happy to keep his unbeaten captaincy record as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he wouldn't have wanted it any better. When he took over captaincy at Melbourne, he had 2 wins out of 2 matches. He won his 3rd match, he drew his 4th match, and he won his 5th match. So he's not lost a single game, and obviously given the way Indian cricket is, I think when Virat Kohli is out next, God forbid he doesn't, but if he has to go out for some reason, I think Ajinkya Rahane will be more than handy as captain. So he certainly won't want to break that record, and he looks a very calm and reassuring captain, that's for sure. He lets players do their things. He lets them learn, and he just gives them that helping hand, and he isn't very forceful on the players. And I think a lot of them have mentioned that as well. Chatur did, Washington did it recently. Siraj also spoke about how calm and how helpful Rahane was. So I think it's great for Indian cricket that they have that leadership group. Bumrah also, in a sense, he's really helping the younger bowlers in the side. Rohit Sharma is helping the batsmen. So it's a very, very good setup that Indian cricket has. I think we should learn to enjoy what we have and not ask for more or try and make too many changes, which will eventually just put everything into a whole mixed bag of confusions, and that's just not what Indian cricket should be about.
No, 100%, and I think we mentioned it after the IPL that they're trying to create a bit of a disruption in the dressing room, having all this talk between Rohit and Virat. Now it's Virat and Ajinkya. I think it's totally out of order, and like I said, I think if Jinx never captains again, he will be remembered, and he will quite rightly retire very, very proud, having captained India for all the test matches, and especially the last series win. I think that will he's already got a record to be proud of. So yeah, let's not have any more talk of that, no matter what happens in the next series. But cricket continues, and we mentioned the Moudgal. Oh, one other thing I wanted to ask you, and I think I saw it today. There'll be no crowds in Chennai. It's going to be played behind closed doors. Are you surprised with that announcement?
No, absolutely not. I think that's a very good move. To be very honest, I think because in India, I think we've discussed this earlier as well. When even the series before the Australia series or even before the IPL happened, we discussed how India is a very cricket crazy nation, and it's not going to be very easy for the officials or the policemen, so to say, to actually control the crowd. So I think in a sense it's great. I mean, obviously, I think people will need to wait a little longer, and it's only safe that what they're doing, playing behind closed doors, that's the right decision. Um, I'm 100% on board with that, and I think fans will just need to wait a little longer to get back into the stadiums. And if that comes at the health of, if going to the stadium at the cost of health and safety is something that needs to be done, I don't think it should be taken up at all. So playing behind closed doors, I think, is a good decision.
In terms of the way Australia did it, and what we have here, that if you get tested, we've got an app where you can upload it, so it's recorded, so you can show somebody you've been tested and it's negative. If you get a test in India, firstly, is the test available readily? Can anybody get it anytime? And secondly, do you have some proof that you're negative that you can show?
Yeah, we do have a couple of tests here in India. I think there are 2 to 3 that we do have, and they give us a report. I think it's a soft copy and not a hard copy, so we do have proof saying they're negative and it's all good to go. So we do have that here, but I'm not sure how much that can be sort of like inculcated into the system and make it foolproof, so to say. So I think it's going to take a little bit of time. Obviously, we have a lot of vaccines being rolled out across different states in the country, and that's good to see. So hopefully, I think steadily, touch wood, the cases are going down on a daily basis. So in that sense, I think it's progressing in the right direction, and hopefully in a month or two, I think we should be good to go.
And you mentioned, nobody needs to say even if there's a cricket commentary around a radio in India, let alone a TV, there's a crowd. Do you think people will keep away from the stadium in Chennai? Or will it need police presence?
Well, I hope that we will keep away, because we can't afford any cases with such an important series in life. So I think it's certainly going to be barricaded, is what I've heard. I think they're going to have a 1 kilometer radius within which it's going to be all barricaded, and fans obviously won't be allowed. Or, I mean, even if they do decide to allow fans, it'll probably be within a certain radius of the stadium, and I think the hotel is going to be obviously fully isolated for all the others. It'll be only the team and the support staff. So I'm not too sure about all the measures that BCCI is taking for the series, but I'm sure that they'll consider all these different factors when they do.
And in terms of the media, I know how the media is not still allowed for the ISL, but they have a pool where the questions are put through to the managers and players. How's the media been treated in terms of how they will interact in the test matches?
Well, we do have pre-match and post-match conference links that are sent to us on Zoom.
Okay.
So by the BCCI, so it's generally a very, very short conference, about 30 minutes. About 15 to 16 journalists get to ask their questions, and they keep the answers short. So in that sense, I think BCCI is doing a good job in trying to get us also access to what the players are thinking, what specific players are thinking, and what the motives are, what the plans are. So I think that's just a modern age, and there's nothing else that can be done. A Zoom call is all that we can probably afford at this stage, considering health and sanitization standards. So, but it's good from the BCCI that they're inviting a whole lot of media houses. I think we have about 70 odd journalists on any call.
Oh wow.
That's good to see, I think, and that's just the maximum that we can do in this situation.
Right. And just looking ahead, in terms of the T20 World Cup, do you think the situation will be such that I know no dates? It's just a vague outline of October, November. I think they've said that T20 World Cup will take place in India. Do you think it's too early to make a call on whether you think fans will be allowed or a limited number of fans will be allowed? What are your expectations or thoughts or hopes?
Yeah, I mean, I'm certainly hoping that we are allowed, because I think that'll be great for the media also to get some live action from the stadium. But I think that's certainly a lot of time away. It's in the second half of the year, so hopefully by then, if all the protocols are followed, if all the health and safety standards are followed that are prescribed by the government, I think we should be in good stead to sort of make sure that that the T20 World Cup happens in a smooth fashion. And I think it's very important because we're not talking about just a bilateral series where two teams are going to be here. So many different countries, so many different players from various countries, their media houses, their support staff. It'll be a whole lot of logistical issues if the pandemic continues to be present. And I think the BCCI will do everything to make sure that by the time the World Cup sort of arrives, everything's in place, and we have all our plans and strategies to make sure that it happens in a smooth fashion. So I'm just hoping that everything clears out by then, and we can get to watch some live cricket from the stadium.
And in terms of a trial run, maybe they could use the IPL. I know no decision's been made whether it's going to be staged in India in April, but IPL talk around the media has already started in terms of players being dropped or not selected or re-signed. I was surprised that it started so early. Are you surprised?
Not really. I think we were all expecting the auction to happen right after the Syed Mushtaq Ali Trophy, and that's actually one of the reasons why BCCI decided to sort of make sure that the Syed Mushtaq Ali happens sometime in Jan, because the teams can do their scouting, and by the time February arrives, sort of the third week of February, we're hearing is when the IPL auction will take place. So teams have their strategies in place, they know who they want to pick. So in a sense, I think that's fine, and they probably want to give it a month and a half later to figure out how teams can get together for practice and then have a good IPL. According to what we're hearing, Mumbai might be hosting the IPL because they have around 2 to 3 stadiums which can host the matches. But otherwise also, I think we're still a good 1.5-2 months away. So hopefully again everything clears by then, and BCCI do host the tournament in India, because it's certainly a different feeling than the tournament happening elsewhere.
And I was just looking at the list of players that's been released. I think the biggest list is for your boys, Royal Challengers. Did you have any input into the release of so many players? I know what your thoughts were at the end of the IPL. I was surprised with the number that's been released.
I wasn't too surprised, if I'm being honest, because look, I mean, Chris Morris and Aaron Finch are probably two of the biggest names among there, apart from Umesh Yadav. Aaron Finch, obviously, he started with when he did come into the side, Mike Hassan spoke so much about how he brings in promise with the leadership aspect and in terms of the firepower that he offers at the top of the order. But in a sense, right through IPL, he sort of flattered to deceive. He scored just about 250 odd runs in 12 matches. He lost his place towards the end. Chris Morris, a slightly injury-prone player. We paid 10 crore for him in the auction. Obviously, with Daniel Sams coming to the side in a trade, he's a like-for-like replacement for Isuru Udana. Umesh Yadav, I think, was certainly not in his prime at all in the last season, and we're sort of going to be depending on New India in a sense, with Siraj and Saini doing so well in Australia. And Harshal Patel also now added to that mix. I think we're going to be depending on those three for a lot of the bowling. In a sense, I don't think it was very surprising. Probably the only exclusion, in my opinion, which was slightly surprising, was that of Moeen Ali, because an all-rounder is a very important commodity in T20 cricket. Having said that, again, there wasn't place for him in the last 2 seasons, and again, with the top 4 positions sort of nailed down, we're probably hopefully going to be looking for someone like a Maxwell or someone like a Krishnappa Gautam to give us that firepower towards the end. So not too surprised with the releases, and we have the second highest purse in the auction, so hoping for some very good buys this year.
And if the ownership of the Challengers is listening, you'd do a lot worse than Prasen on that auction, advising you. I highly recommend you hiring Prasen if the management is listening, because you just have to listen to our podcasts, and he never gets it wrong, trust me. So there's a shout out to the Challengers. Get some expertise there, because it's about time you made the finals, if not won the trophy. Obviously, we'll be talking about the IPL and the changes in a lot more detail. Most of our show was taken quite rightly with the best win ever. I keep improving it, don't I? So best win ever away, now making it best win. So I'm changing my mind as we speak. But you mentioned the Syed Mushtaq Ali Trophy. last time you mentioned you weren't sure if your boys would get into the quarterfinals. They have, so you've still got skin in the game, as they say. I don't know about the coverage and how much you've had time to follow it, considering what else is happening. But you must be happy at least that your boys have made it in the quarterfinals. It will be a tough game against Punjab, but definitely winnable with the team you've got.
Yeah, well, I mean, to be very honest, I think Karnataka haven't been entirely convincing in the tournament so far. We obviously got through by the scruff of our neck. If Saurashtra had won against Rajasthan in the last league stage match that there was, we wouldn't have even made the quarterfinals. So purely based on net run rate, again, I think it's a whole case of RCB all over again. We're having to depend on net run rate. I mean, to be very honest, I think the batsmen haven't really fired this season. It's been just bits and pieces. I think Devdutt Padikkal is the only one I think he's the only batsman in the top 15 top run scorers this season. So the Karnataka batsmen have been slightly off colour, so to say, and hopefully Punjab, on the other hand, have looked really, really good. The batsmen have scored very well. Mandeep Singh, their captain, is in great form, and I think it's going to be a very, very tough match. And this is going to be the first match of Karnataka's that's going to be on TV. So just hoping that our boys somehow pull through and put up a good performance against Punjab and make the semis.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned Punjab played 5-1-5, but I think your boys only lost one, and I'm pretty sure, if you can correct me, it was to Punjab, wasn't it?
Yeah, we did lose against Punjab, yeah.
Yeah, but like you said, I think being title holders, getting to the quarterfinals, then it becomes anybody's game, so fair play. Yeah, my boys, Saurashtra, I was checking that result actually, and I thought we might have a shot. I didn't know about the run rate, but after the defeat I knew that chance had gone. But the other surprising thing, it was the quarterfinals are on, two of the quarterfinals are on Republic's Day. Is that normal to have sports on Republic's Day? I thought it was a national holiday. I know it doesn't matter now because everything's closed, but is that normal to play cricket or any sport on Republic's Day?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they're looking at anything very specific in that sense. I think it's more to do with the quarantine period.
Okay.
Because the league stage matches did end around 19th, and they needed a one week quarantine period in Ahmedabad, and it happens to end on 26th, so 25th. So I think they'll have one practice session or maybe two, and then they'll probably get straight to the match on 26th. So I don't think public holidays matter to cricket anymore. Actually, it works in favor of the broadcasters because a lot more people will be at home. They'll get to watch the matches along with their family and friends. So I think it's a win-win for everyone in that sense.
Yeah, and you've got your day sorted out. You can watch the parade. I don't know if there's going to be a parade in Rajpath. I'm not sure what's happening. You might be able to tell me. But you can watch that the celebration in the morning and then watch the cricket. So not a bad 26th coming up for you. But it's it's one of these special podcasts I've been really looking forward to speak to you about after that amazing victory. I know we've had a few days to come to terms with it because I think on the day the emotions were still high. I think my blood pressure was still high. But now that we've had time to think about it, it's been really good to talk to you about that victory and the amazing win. And I'm glad Test cricket is live and kicking thanks to India. In terms, we changed this with the show in terms of I needed that piece of advice, or Tim Payne needed that piece of advice. How's your week been otherwise? I know you've been busy today. How's it been?
Yeah, I think it's been pretty good. We were all waiting to see what happens in the Test match. That's all that we were focusing on, but now we're moving towards obviously the Syed Mushtaq Ali, and after that we're going to be moving to the India-England series and then the IPL auction. So I think it's a packed schedule, and really looking forward to it in a sense. It's pretty chilly here in Bangalore actually in the mornings and evenings. So it hasn't been raining for quite a while. I think that's good for us because it allows us to go out for our jogs and walks a little bit more. So hoping everything turns out good, and we have some very good cricket coming up here.
yeah, it'll be hard to live up to what we've seen in the past week, but if it gets anywhere close, it'll be amazing. I just want to leave from the quote, end this show with the quote from Justin Langan. I'm sure if it's not already made into a t-shirt, I'm going to put it out there as a t-shirt. Never, ever, ever underestimate the Indians. I think that needs to be made into a t-shirt that everybody can wear proudly, and from Justin Langer. Fantastic, Prasen. It's really, really good to talk to you again. Like I said, I've been on a high since that day, and it's been a fantastic week, and hopefully, like you said, we can see a lot more cricket of the same standard coming up as well. But thank you for your time today, my friend. Really enjoyed it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. As always, lovely to chat with you. And obviously, we had to discuss that win. I mean, we were texting about it the whole time. I think I predicted a draw because we were all thinking it's going to rain for like 2 sessions. But turns out it didn't, and it didn't for good because India pulled off that win. And it was great to chat about it. And obviously, everything else cricket. So thanks a lot for having me, and see you next time.
Brilliant. Thank you. Take care, my friend.